Welcome back to the Crypto Bliss show here this evening and this wonderful, beautiful evening here in hot, steamy, humid Johannesburg. How are you all doing today? Welcome to the show today. Today I have an amazing guest. He is my brother Etan, StarGlazer, and today StarGlazer is going to be giving us an astrology reading on Bitcoin. So I hope you are all super amped and excited. Something new to the channel. Make some noise down in the comments below if you'd like to see more of this, of course. Welcome back to the show, Etan. StarGlazer,
Thanks.
how are you doing
Appreciate
today?
it. Yes, great. It's great to be here. And actually, it's a very special day today. Jupiter is stationed direct tomorrow, which means that it's at its most intense and most potent. And this is within Gemini. So after tomorrow, it's going to be heading on its way to Cancer. So lots to talk about here. And tonight, I'm doing fantastic. How are you there?
Absolutely awesome. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for coming to speak about the Bitcoin's life cycle in astrology terminology. And for those of you that are familiar with astrology, of course, that's the stars and how the energy is amplified or dampened or heightened or um, whatever the energetical move may be by that particular light reflecting orb called a star. And that's why it's called astrology. And so Etan is a very finely tuned astrologer, and I trust Etan in what he does across the board. So I will leave his channel, his YouTube channel details down in the description of this video below. And of course, uh, go check his channel out and see what he speaks about so that you can also learn and understand exactly what astrology does. And in this video, we're going to be speaking very specifically about Bitcoin astrology and the times of the halvings, the peaks, the bottoms, and certain events that may have impacted Bitcoin to either become bullish or bearish at those moments or sit sideways. And that is all based on astrology. So, Etan, of course, please, with your welcomeness, you're welcome to share your screen, and I will then share my screen and we'll relay the chart versus the astrological wheel at the same time.
Appreciate that. And yeah, to your beautiful audience out there, committed as there are, some may know zero astrology, others may know tons of astrology. So I'm going to talk through all walks of it. If this is something that interests you, just go to astrotheme.com as an example, and you can look at a chart. You may not look at this wheel and go, what is going on here? But if you hover over with your mouse, you can see and click, you can see a basic description of what Mars is in Gemini or Mars is in Capricorn, etc. And then so the journey begins. But on an elemental level, astrotheology, yes, it's the science of the stars, basically. And tropical astrology is definitely accurate in the sense that we look at both horizons, east and west, and we could see where the sun rises and where the moon rises and where all of these planets, so Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, etc., where they stay in a specific band called the ecliptic. But interestingly so, some of these orbs stray out of these bands every so often, and Mars is busy doing that right now while it's retrograding in Cancer from Leo. So stay put, stay hot on your seats over here because there's a lot of information to share in a short while. And yeah, don't be intimidated by the what the wheel is and how it's expressing itself. All you got to pay attention to for now is the legend on the left hand side. If you get stuck, you could just go, oh, that's the sun. Oh, that's Jupiter symbol over there. Where is it? Oh, there's Jupiter there. Oh, okay, Pluto. Okay, cool. Then you can really identify from them. Then the other part of this legend is fire, earth, air, water, and of course ether, which is the interesting element we're going to be talking mainly as a theme in today's Aquarian age conversation. Kiara, Mr. Crypto Bliss over there, loving life. So
Brilliant.
this, yeah, fire, is all about stimulus. It's hot, it's active, and of course, danger sign. Don't touch fire, generally speaking. Earth, of course, mountains, trees, and the earthlings. The little creatures running around the earth as well. Air, of course, wind, tornadoes, cloud formations, all those things. Then water is the evident trickle from the heavens above down into this plane, and the water that surrounds each of our continents. So much more than that. And then just to India, cardinal, fixed, and mutable. It's sort of like starting the engine is the cardinal sign. It's starting, it's in first gear, and it's heading towards the highway. It's gearing up. And then the fixed signs are like being on the highway in fifth or sixth gear at a 120 pace, kilometers here, South Africa. And then mutable is gearing down, coming off the off ramp and heading towards your beachfront, wherever you're heading in your destination. So everything, and I mean everything, has a start and a finish to it. A song, a bird, a seed, a tree, you as a birth chart. So I just really wanted to touch on that before we delve into the Bitcoin space, because those are interesting elements that you can see reflect in your life. Okay, so I'll just leave a pause there for Mr. Crypto Bliss. Good to go, eh?
Thanks, StarGlazer. So to the community, thanks Etan for explaining that. I think it's after you've explained that nicely, it's quite simple to understand what those ledgers are doing. And of course, we're about to delve into the astrological wheel. So just for the audience at this point, you can see here that we've started at the first date that Bitcoin was launched, its birth. That is its true birth, because even though Bitcoin was incepted in the white paper a couple months before this, we're looking at the astrological wheel, which is the birth date, place, etc., of this particular cryptocurrency. And Bitcoin, of course, being the number one cryptocurrency, has a very good place on this earth. And if you've been watching my channel for so long, I've been speaking about Bitcoin and how Bitcoin will continue to go up forever, even though it has massive dips like it's had today on Monday. During this time, this recording is on Monday. We'll publish this video very likely for you on Tuesday. So the 3rd of the 1st, 2009. That was Bitcoin's birth date, and we did some research, and a lot of it points to London, England. So where it was
Right
birthed.
over here. That's it, launched, yes. Birthed, yes, exactly. Because we come through the birth canal, correct? And then we're birthed into this realm by the dock or the doctor, the docking, your aura, your energy, bringing it into this realm. So it's interesting, that dynamic there. So yes, through the birth canal, etc. Okay, so let's kind of get going on this all. So you're looking at a clock here, everybody, and this is sunrise, so 6 a.m. This is midday, so 12 p.m. Then you get 6 p.m. Then you get midnight, and then the cycle begins again. Okay, so that means that you've got a top hemisphere, so above and below this hemisphere, correct? Then you've also got left and you've got right. And the reason I say this is because left hemisphere is masculine. It's our left hemisphere brain. It brings about the masculine active energy in the body and throughout people's nature. And then the right hemisphere is all about the creative. Now let's delve creative and feminine, and we can delve definitely into that because you can see a lot weighing in on this side. interestingly said. That's a first observation, that most orbs on this side. But yeah, for the most part, um, interesting that Bitcoin was birthed in a Capricorn time, and it's Capricorn in its nature. So Capricorn is slow to start, but eventually builds up to the peak of the mountain. So you're standing at the base of the mountain looking up at that. So Bitcoin's known as the people's money. Gold and silver is God's money. And in this way, we get to see that Bitcoin was birthed through technology. Okay. And everyone's talking about the age of Aquarius, the age of unveiling. That's the apocalypse, the age of unveiling. But what you can importantly look at is not only is it a Capricorn energy, there's a lot of prominence in Aquarius that you could see here playing out. And Venus over there has just moved out from Aquarius and into Pisces, to which it now exalts, it further expresses itself. So that's there's a lot of good energy in the sense that it's the people's money in the sense that Aquarius is all about community, where opposite it is all about self and king and dominating. Not so much, that's the negative sides of it. Leo is the ruler of the heart center chakra. So actually, truly, it's the source of where information comes from. So actually delving right into that, okay? There's truly too much to talk about in a short session like this today. So maybe Kiara and I will top in on it another time. But another representation here in Capricorn is this Mars being there, Martian energy. Okay, and Mars in Capricorn actually exalts, which means it further expresses itself, like I just said, and with the Venus energy. So interesting, both of them are now exalted. This is Romeo and Juliet. You know, this is masculine and feminine divine energy coming together, because Venus is all about the senses, but it's also about money and the flow, right? Because you sense silk, you like the feeling of silk. You know, you sense a pizza and you want to have it, right? Fast food. That's what Venus is about. So when it comes to money, of course, that plays a pivotal role, with Taurus and Scorpio being the financial axis in astrology. Okay. And I'm not going to bounce around too much, but that's an important part to the age of Aquarius. Okay. Because Taurus is up here and Scorpio is down here. Let me pause there for a second and pay attention to, yes, the up, down, you know, on the left and the right. But this in between these two lines is the first house. This is the second house, the third house, fourth, and so on and so forth. So what does that mean? Oh, they have certain characteristics, and those characteristics are held by the star signs. So you can see this, the color, and the color over there is a little bit on this side of the house and that side of the house, the ninth house, correct? But the majority of Aries is in the ninth house. So to stick with it, Taurus and Scorpio are basically in the houses that represent home, because the fourth house is Cancer and it represents the home, money in that space. Of course, the moon, which is silver, moony, it moves currency, right? So it moves that flow. We all know that the moon controls tides. So that includes currency flow, okay? So you're going to be talking about full moon and new moon and how Bitcoin is affected by that, because that's something you've observed. So opposite in the 10th house is the career house. So Taurus being in the career house, it really resembles, the people's money, the flow, the benevolence, because Venus is known as the minor benefic. You know, it brings gifts, and this is, it gives to the career, to the economy, to the public light. So all of that in a bag of chips, and there's so much more detail. So I'm going to continue. Pluto here. Okay, we all know the financial crash 2008. hilarious. Not really, because a lot of people were affected by it. But it caused a lot of disruption in the political environment, the career environment, because remember, I'm saying here, this is the career house, but in the career political environment, we all know these scandals that are going, sex things, and all the rest. All of that, Pluto, if it had to have one word, is transformation. And that transformation is happening in that political realm. Everything's being dug up from the depths of secrets and it's being splurted out into the public light. That includes the financial inequality that has happened for 6,000, 8,000, who even knows? How do you even tell? You know what I'm saying? It's 6,000 plus years. So when we talk about a currency, even if it was created by AI, which is technology, of course, which is some people's theories, it's for the people and it's to benefit financial perfection. So Michael Saylor has it more intimately. A lot of other people talk about, Bitcoin and the white paper and the structure thereof, including you, Mr. Crypto Bliss. And a lot of that information is really relevant to the times that we're in. So we could see AI coming in. That's regardless of Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin in and of itself is a gargantuan economy. It's predicted to take 7% of the working capital throughout the whole economy. I mean, that's massive amount of market cap, for Bitcoin to be dominating in. So back to the whole energy, you could start to see this build up in the resemblance of resistance, which is another Aquarian trait. It's all about the revolution, hey? 250 years ago, the French Revolution happened. People migrated all across the world. People transformed in so many incredible ways. The world turned incredible. Not only that, America also had their thing 250 years ago, and actually they were birthed 250 years ago. So they have a Pluto return now in Aquarius, because Pluto's transited into Aquarius here, thereabout. So 20 years it takes Pluto to rip through each star sign, to give you a perspective. It takes the sun 30 days, of course, because that's what we call a month. It takes the moon 29 and a half days, because that's what we call a moon. But the other star signs, they also represent their own cycle of patterns. Jupiter is a particular one. So Jupiter does a year exactly in each sign. Okay, so we're expecting a lot of exaltation to happen, which is what we'll get more into. The main trigger here is definitely Pluto entering on the 19th of November 24. Okay, because that was Pluto being in Aquarius for the first time, and it's gonna, well, sorry, not for the first time, excuse me, for the third time actually. But more importantly, it's going to stay there for good now. It's not going to go back into Capricorn and retrograde. So it's a really prominent time, okay? And we could see the ETFs being launched, last year. That was the buildup that was happening prior to that for the past 3 years, because Pluto's been coming in and out of Aquarius and Capricorn, okay? So this has a lot of relevance. Then I just want to touch on another cycle. Before I hand over the mic to you, is the Saturn-Jupiter cycle. So there's Jupiter, okay, and Saturn's here, okay? But truly what's happening is the 4-year cycles, Kiara, and I want you to go through your Crypto Bliss modality and show people about the halvings and when those dates were, 2012, 2016, 2020, 24. Okay. And those are 4 years exactly, of course, but Saturn and Pluto, they meet each other every 12 odd years. Okay. But what's happening? The first quarter is 4 years, then opposite it is 8 years, 12, and then 16. So excuse me, I said 12, it was 16-year cycles, 12, 16. And that got triggered, interestingly, on December 21st, the bull run. on December 2020. So that Saturn Jupiter conjunction for the first time in air signs, so Aquarian, it was at 0 degrees Aquarius. So go do your research on YouTube. People were talking so much about that conjunction and its benevolence and its blessing into this world, this age of Aquarius. So go back 4 years and you'll get that energy. Do your own research and see what astrologers and people were talking about the energy back then. But we all know lockdown and corona and stuff. But since then, the world has been hurtful in true South African terminology. Is they're hurtful of the powers, the top-down structures, which is a Capricorn energy. It's top-down structures, whereas Aquarius is bottom-up structures. It's about building the community. And what is Bitcoin about, Crypto Bliss? It's definitely about building your community, right? Oh, I've got communities of these coins and nodes and people. So you can very evidently see that it's a technology-based expression. Bitcoin, of course, but astrology speaking to that very much so here. Anyone looking at the chart, knowing astrology, will say a lot there. And then let me pause because, like I said, there's so much to talk about. Was the Crypto Bliss?
Absolutely, there is. So far, you've done such a great job at explaining this as simply as possible, in terms of understanding that each of the stars have their own cycles within each of the astrological signs, and when they, as the center of the circle points out, when they somewhat conjunct each other or cross each other or reflect one another, that is either, that's impacting the energy that those astrological signs and stars represent in the signs, and that puts down a particular type of energy at the moment. And Etan would probably, I'm sure if he had whipped up a chart right now, you can see that Bitcoin is absolutely bleeding to death, and that's because he's just said that Mars is in Cancer. Cancer is the house, the home. We've all felt comfortable with Bitcoin sitting at, above 100K for the last couple of weeks, but when it takes a dip down, and if you watch my video that I leave up here in the link for you, you'll see that it doesn't matter that Bitcoin dips down, okay? Those are moments that you buy, but this dip didn't do anything. This dip really dipped back down to the $92,000 level, which, yes, made altcoins bleed, but this is an opportunity to buy because Bitcoin ain't for the short term, it's for the long term. And we are here for a long time, not a good time, okay? So you have to endure those struggles when we see massive dips like we've seen today. I mean, altcoins were bleeding, so be it. It is what it is. So, Etan, talk to us a little bit about the halving points. I believe you've taken down the dates of the halving times. Do you want to put those out there on your astrological chart?
Okay, so Kiara, Mr. Crypto Bliss is actually referring to is a transit report. And that transit report we could get onto now. So don't be intimidated by it, community. But yeah, again, questions, put them in the comments. We can see, we'll attend to them, definitely so. And yeah, you could be in touch with me for personal consults, those things. But the depths of it, yeah, when we talk about the cycles here, it's very important to recognize that the first halving, okay, happens in a transit report. So let me now demonstrate to you transit by wheel now. What's happening in this graph here is this is the Bitcoin chart we've been talking about this whole time. All of the orbs on the right-hand side there, like we've been expressing. So they're in the same place. But this outer circle here is the current stars interacting with the birth chart of Bitcoin, as is mine, as is Crypto Bliss, as is yours, as is a rose bush. Okay, a freaking carrot. I tell you, random stuff. But you can see these blue lines here. They're trines, which represents harmonic angles. The green ones are also sextiles, which represent harmonic. The reds tend to represent the squares and the oppositions. So tug of war, not comfortable. Coming to a T junction, you've got to make a decision. Which way, left or right? So it's just simple analogies for now. But We are now gonna go a little bit, okay? And I don't know how much time we've got left here, but transit, new transit date, okay? So we're gonna pop up over here, and we want to enter in a specific date, which the first halving period came. Oh, that's the 28th of November, and that was what's 2012. Okay, and then yeah, let's just do it for midday, just to be fair on that all. Okay. Oh gosh, AM or PM. PM, please. Oh yeah, Kasha. Okay, so a lot of things here, but the one thing I noticed first was the full moon time. This is the first halving that came in, a full moon occurred, and there's this expression of abundance, and full moons are abundant, and there's a lot of energy flying around, a lot of accidents, a lot of people with aggression, a lot of road rage, but also a lot of good things, a lot of positive, powerful emotions, in all kinds of ways. Then you can see back then, okay, that just blows my mind. I saw something new right now. Okay, so Jupiter today is retrograding at 11 degrees of Gemini. This is Gemini there. And ironically, it's on that point where it was back in 2012. Now, oh, Mayan calendar 2012 changed things, oh, apocalypse, all of that talk. it's as a part to play with us coming into a conscious awareness of our community and reality. And yeah, the hardship that we've endured by these Marxist people, let me just leave it there. But yeah, more than anything, okay, the full moon's there. I love that kind of energy. You have this is Uranus. Uranus is all about shocks and unexpected things, and it's a non-conformist. And actually, Uranus co-rules Aquarius, which means that yeah, they're in partnership with the energy that's going on implemented in this reality. Saturn's all about boundaries, structures, and it's all about, of course, community, because we talked about community. And all of those things have a part to do with business, career, our four walls that we in, etc. So you can see how they're all intimately linked. So very nice energy with Uranus in Aries because it's the I am expression. It's the first house. Aries has to do with our cerebral cortex. And that's where information comes through our crown chakra. This is a known fact. The toroidal field comes through. That's why Jesus wears a thorn of crowns, because it's the energy coming through here from a toroidal pattern. Then extending out on the plateau, okay, the farthest most reach, which the heart is the center of. Then, excuse me, our anus expresses that toroidal pattern of expelling the energy, okay, getting rid of the old, and then the cycles are new again. So everything is cycles, everything's patterns. But Uranus in Aries is starting a new cycle, if I could put it that way, in our consciousness. And we're talking about Aquarius here. So the first, Kiara, please can you share your screen on the charts, and let's get going with that. See how that goes. On the halving cycles, and just so people, 28th of November-ish, measured it out, planned it.
So I'm not sure if this chart actually has all the way back to 2012, and I don't think any of the trading views have the full data because TradingView came before, so I can't give you that exact date. It's a couple months shy of it, unfortunately. I can only give you the next halving date. So
See the boom bust up. I mean, you can imagine the exponential growth from down there. People investing back then where Bitcoin was worth cents. Now we have $100,000. Okay, so
it was
that
$2
truly
back
is.
then, eh? Down from there all the way up to the 1,200 level. I mean, and we just
That in itself.
continue to go up. But
Exactly.
okay, talk to
So
me.
the halving day. Hmm?
Tell us about the halving date.
Yeah, so it's just about energies, like when you do transit reports, and we won't go through all of them, but we're talking about the 4-year patterns and what have you. The closest one, let's say for time, let's go to 2020 and where that all happened. Okay. 2020. Okay, so now we talked about the Uranus coming into new cycles and all of that progression. This is the 5th of May. Sorry, the 11th of May. That's what I was saying. Okay. And like all of these have cycles to play. You can see most of the energy is up in the open here. So a lot is being exposed, a lot is being brought into the light, right? Because everyone during the day goes to work and brought into the light to do things. That's the purpose of day and night. It's rest and being active. So another thing, there's a few things that are making their way up here. So in a chart, actually, they move this direction, all of the orbs. There's one or two that don't. They move the opposite direction. But for the most part, yeah, going through that, pulling through it all. You could see Mars here is just exiting Aquarius. And when planets are at the end of star signs, they really express their potency. So Mars has been hyperactive in Aquarius as a community-based technology. Uranus has a lot to do with aviation and flight and technology there. And who are we talking about? UFOs, unidentified flying objects. It's not like alien conspiracy, but unidentified flying objects. You don't know what it is. It's technology you don't know. It's flying up there like crazy. So, these things have a part to play in it. Then
Mars,
Saturn.
just sorry, Mars. I just want to jump in there. Sorry to interrupt. But Mars in Aquarius at the moment, as you said, just intensifies. And Mars is war, it's fire, it's burn, it's dry, it's hot. And to the Crypto Bliss community, I know this because I do a lot of astrology readings with Etan. So I'm just sharing this quickly from your side. And as we can see, and obviously Aquarius is the air sign, so it's hot air blowing, and hence what is busy happening in the further LA fires, etc. And in the Middle East, there's lots of heat and tension and hot air blowing. Hot air meaning like your head is expanding. So there's a lot of ego happening at this point, and it's very expansive at this moment. And you can see there, Etan's about to talk about Saturn and Jupiter in Capricorn and what those do at this point. So carry on.
I mean, that's brilliant. It's brilliant. Okay. I like that. I'll start there and then land with Uranus. But notice Uranus here right at the top. It's very potent there. So Jupiter, this line here, is pulling towards Saturn, which means that they're completing their cycle, like full moon, new moon, full moon, back down to new moon again. Like that's a completion of a full cycle. So the conjunction happens in December. This is May, right, when the halving happened. But by December, there was a lot more bullish momentum with crypto. And it was a bit different this last halving cycle. It was a lot flatter, a lot more manipulated, a lot more controlled, a lot more everything, which is a very Capricorn energy.